Order entry is the application in the AS400 which enables us to process orders that go to our customers. In order entry, there are required fields: the company, which is defaulted to the user settings, customer, ship to, purchase order, item number, quantity, and price. All the other fields help us facilitate, such as the S for shipping method. Blank always refers to ground. If I place a 1 in that shipping method, it will make my order process overnight. Let's go ahead and start by putting a customer number in. We're going to use a sample customer, number 15, and we're going to hit our enter key to move down. I'm going to put ship to number 1, and I'm going to put a purchase order in. I'm pressing Control at this point, and it brings me automatically to the defaulted fields and bypasses the other fields that are not required. The hold field enables us to place the order on hold and then process it later or review it and release it from hold. It's released from the invoice status screen. Let's go ahead and use item 25 and quantity 1 at, say, $35 for the dozen. I hit enter and it moved down. Notice the 25, the item number that I put in. I put 1 dozen or 1 as quantity, and it increased it to 6 dozen because it's 6 dozen per case. The price is $35, and it pulled from the warehouse in a bin location from the QBL. Say I wanted to update this, and I wanted to give them 12 dozen. I place a U on the small line, and I press Control. Notice the U at the bottom of the screen, and I bring it back up. I tab over, and say I want 12 dozen. I enter 12, enter to clear the 6, and Control. Again, it moves down and selects it and increases it. What I'd like to do is I'd like to review each one of the fields at the top of the screen. The department. Large retail stores use a department number so they can segregate their merchandise and it'll go directly to that department. It prints on labels that produce in the warehouse shipping labels. So they automatically see that this is for Department 89, which could be their fragrance department or their health and beauty department. Earliest ship date. Earliest ship date automatically defaults to the date you key punch the order. The cancel date. The cancel date is used for customers that require their merchandise in their facilities at a certain time. Cross-reference and pricing. A lot of our larger customers have pricing structures and have their own numbers. We can utilize these 2 fields to help process the order. Unit of measure, case back if there needs to be a case back that's overridden, a skid code, an override on a bin, an error check. If we should not have the merchandise in stock, but you want to keep track of that you placed it on the order, you can put a Y in that field, and what it'll do is it'll show not extended, but you did key the product on the order. If it's required a certain case back for like health and beauty aids, health and beauty aids come by dozen, by case. Let's focus on the function letters and the characters at the bottom of the screen. If I would like to see item inquiry, I can do it 2 ways. I can place an I on the small line here, or I can press my F9 key. Notice the F9 at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to jump into item inquiry. This way, if I'm in order entry, I can look up information about the item, or I can look up the item number if I forgot to write it down. I bring myself back by F7. Number 2, sold orders. If I'd like to see what price this customer has purchased an item, I can go into sold orders F2. F6, RX. I can show the generic to the brand equivalent. If I'm very new and I happen to forget my sales ID, I can look up the salesman by F13. Health and beauty aids use skid codes. A lot of health and beauty aids products, such as deodorants, they might change their packaging. And with that, we could have old packaging and new packaging, and we use skid codes to control that environment. F4 is when we're finished, we can process the order. We can go into QBL if a customer, we would like to know what the expiration date is. If I'd like to back order an item, I can use the B next to an item that has been unextended or out of stock. F8, I'd like to see what the customer currently has on open orders. F10. F10 is very useful. Say I didn't know the customer number in the beginning when I was entering it, and I didn't look it up. I can look it up by pressing F10. Notice F12. F12, I can look up the ship to location of that customer. And if I chose, I can cancel out of the order. Let's go ahead and press F4 and finalize the order. This is our order number. It starts and ends with the same number. And press Control and it brings you back to the beginning of order entry, so you may enter a new order. Order entry allows us to generate our orders. After an order is generated, you would go to the invoice status to follow the order and track the order. F7 to exit.